So, folks, have you ever wondered what it's like to hike the Appalachian Trail and do it at your pace in your way? Well, today we're going to find out just how to go about doing that with Trail Marshall. Trail Marshall, welcome to the We Get Outdoors podcast.
Hey, Rob, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. It's great to have you here. So you just told me this, but whereabouts on the AT are you now?
Right now, I'm in Killington, Vermont. It's my birthday today, so I'm actually taking 2 days off here.
Hey, happy birthday.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Yeah, so I'm going to take a couple of days off. I'm taking a couple of days off the AT to do some day hikes around Vermont and check out a little bit more of the state. Or I'll go back to Bennington in a couple of days and start back down there. And I should finish up June 27th.
Awesome. So tell me, where did this idea of spending a year on the Appalachian Trail come from? Where did it all start?
Oh gosh, well, obviously, COVID came last year and changed things for folks. Cost me my job, so I just kind of was sitting around doing nothing. I said, I saw a video on the Appalachian Trail. I said, I think I'm going to go do that. And everybody kind of either laughed at me or they said, you can't do it. So I disagreed, and I went out and bought a bunch of gear and took off walking. And here I am.
I love it. So had you done much hiking and stuff beforehand? Is that like what your hobbies were, or is it just that was the decision?
No, I had never hiked a day in my life. I guess that's why folks told me I couldn't do it, because I smoke a pack of cigarettes a day. I was drinking a 12-pack a day. Just kind of sitting around. I think my mother says it best. She says I went from couch potato to thru-hiker. So figure it out.
So how's that been a change for your lifestyle? I mean, if you've gone from a packet of cigarettes a day and a 12-pack to, well, I guess that's not possible on the AT.
Yeah, well, I don't drink anymore. I was just kind of, I guess if you want to get sober, hiking the AT is probably a good thing to do. I guess for some folks, because I've seen some folks out there that are getting wrecked every day too, and I don't know how to do that, because the dehydration and the toll it takes on your body it's just too much.
Wow. So it's interesting. It sounds like this journey, this hike so far has been pretty life-changing for you. What's different about Trail Marshall now, almost a year later, from the guy who put a backpack on down south in June last year?
Oh gosh, there's so many things are different. So many things. Mainly though, I think is my faith in people. Before I started, to do this, one of the things that pushed me out there was watching all the craziness in the world. The media has out there that made me feel that there was more bad than good in the world. And getting on the trail, I guess after the first 500 miles, I realized that, wow, there's so many good people out there. These people are amazing. And that it opened me up to look for that in people. And not only look for it, but I wanted to show it to other folks.
And what sort of experiences have you had with people on the trail?
Oh gosh, there's a family in Harper's Ferry. They were friends of a friend, and they saw that I was on the trail, and they wanted me to come stay with them while I was up there. Figured I'd stay a day or two with them and move on. And then I had some shoes that needed to come in the mail that they didn't make it to Harper's Ferry while I was there, and the post office didn't know where they were, and I really needed them because I had holes in mine, and but I still had to get moving, so I went moving. And these folks actually went and picked my package up at the post office, and then drove an hour to drop it off to me, so that I could walk without losing my feet. But then there's folks that I see them, I get people reach out on my Facebook page, give me some support emotionally, and then I got folks that they'll get on the trail and they'll start walking towards me, and so they can run in and get a picture and hang out. And then I'll have folks, hey, come stay with us, or they'll leave a package for me. It's just amazing the way people are. And so once you, I mean, there's other things too, things that people haven't done that they don't do specifically for me. There's people in Pennsylvania, New York, where the water's not good. It's just not good to drink. It's or it's not there. And these people will show up at trailheads and they'll leave water caches for people. They'll some people will be there cooking, just for hikers. So it's a pretty cool thing. I'm trying to fix this screen here for you.
That's all good. Oh, there we go. People are incredible. A few years ago, I kayaked around Scotland over a few months in the UK. And I remember one day pulling up on a beach, and I think I'd been kayaking for about 16 hours at that point in time. You're pretty exhausted, you're freezing cold, soaking wet. And this old couple invited me, they must have been in their 80s, invited me into their caravan, which was right by their RV, right by the beach. And I was like, no, I can't go in. Look, I'm soaking. I'm disgusting. And they had me in there regardless. And then the old man wanted me to help him drink his whiskey collection. And I had one of the funniest evenings of my life with this guy in his 80s drinking his whiskey as I'm there in a set of thermals that are smelly and holy and in a really bad shape. But they didn't care. And I don't know, the world's kind of cool when you can have those spur of the moment occasions where a random person shows up and just shows immense kindness to you.
That's a fact. That is a fact. It's awesome. I mean, it's just something that'll brighten your whole day, especially if it happens on a bad day when, like you say, you're cold and you're wet and things just aren't going your way. And something like that just changes it all together. It's great.
What do you think? So you're looking to have finished the AT on the 27th of June. So you've done the full year out there. When you move back to your normal life or your previous life, what do you want to take from all of those people who've helped you, supported you, done things for you, and integrate into your new way of living?
Well, a lot of folks that when I thank them for things that they've done, they've always said the same thing: is pass it on. And that's something I'm definitely, when I get back in the world, which it might be sometime. There's no telling what I'm going to do with the hiking. Once you're in it, you're in it. But I'll definitely be passing it on, do some trail magic for some folks. And I do it now. There's hikers coming up from Georgia now that, I've already been there. I know where to go. Places that maybe they shouldn't go. So I always tell folks, hey, if you run into any issues, hit me up on the page. Let me know. I'll point you in the right direction. So, and definitely, when I get done, I'm going to definitely be with the Appalachian Trail community for sure. The hiking community is amazing. I'm going to be a part of it for the rest of my life.
That's incredible. So you just insinuated then that the end of the AT might not be the end of your hiking adventures. What's going through your mind?
Oh gosh. Well, obviously there's there's a couple more long trails. And then, like I said, the AT, I'm going to be part of the AT for a while. So, there's so much beauty out there that you can't see it all. Some days it's a little bit too cloudy, a little rainy, a little nasty. So obviously I'll have to do some more hiking through the AT in different spots. But I'll definitely, like I said, my whole goal here, I just want to have a positive impact on folks. So yeah, as long as I got folks following the page and living vicariously through me, I like to pass that on to folks.
Yeah, you never know. There's all those people you knew from back home, but when you had a job and you were like a normal guy who was just going to work and doing his thing, you're kind of giving those people hope, I think. Hope that you can go and do something different and make a different choice and show that there's another way of living your life without having to do that grind the entire time.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, I think you know, ideally, I like to give folks hope for anything because one of the things I realized when I first started this, like I said, and everybody was telling me I can't do it, was that fear is a defense mechanism. So normally, if you think something, uh, you know, they say you can't do it. They're not telling you that they don't love you. They're just scared for you. And um, you know, you got to question yourself sometimes. And that's what I did. And I well, you know what? They're right. I can't do it. So that's why I have to do it. I mean, if you can do something that you know yourself is impossible, then you can take that word impossible out of your vocabulary, and then anything's possible. And
Hmm.
I believe that anybody can do anything that they truly want to, if they just want it enough.
It's funny, isn't it? But then people often need a trigger. Like you had COVID and losing your job as a trigger to go buy a backpack and a pair of boots and start hiking. I think, do you, I won't say regret, but do you wish you'd made the decision to go and hike the AT like 10 years ago or something?
Oh gosh, I wish I was doing this my whole life. Um, you know, I lived in New Orleans for 15 years, and I saw uh, pretty much the worst of what society has to offer, and I've seen it on a daily basis. I've seen murders, robberies, people getting hustled, people getting drugs, and it starts making you jaded towards folks, cold. And you know, you're always looking at folks different, side eyeing people, thinking, you know, what are they up to? Why are they doing this? It's always got to be a question. And so once I got on the trail and I started meeting these folks out there and seeing that there's just people who are just downright good people. And uh, then I noticed, you know, maybe if I was looking for it out there, I would have seen it instead of looking for what I was already seeing. So to me, like I said, I should have been doing this my whole life because uh, the beauty of it, the way it's changed me, I would love to have been this person for the last 20 years.
Hmm. So who is this person? Tell me. Come on, Marshall. There's like the before and after version of you. What are we really seeing?
Oh gosh, I mean, I actually, like I said, I just have this genuine care for folks that, and I see folks out there, and I see folks struggling too. And that one, when I was going down to Georgia and seeing people coming up the mountain and they're just dying. And I was thinking to myself, man, this looks like a refugee crisis with all these folks coming up here. They're just not in good shape. And look back on my first day. My first day, I thought I did 10 miles. I remember I did a video next day. I was like, wow, this thing's kicking my ass. So I did 10 miles. I'm going to do 10 miles today. And when I flipped back there to Grayson Highlands, I knew how to read my map at this point. And I looked, I was like, wow, I did 1.7 miles and I almost died. So uh, it's definitely, I got a little better. I got a little better.
And have
But,
you managed? Have you managed
yeah.
to cut the smoking down as well?
No, not at all. Actually, I think I smoke more.
Really?
It just doesn't affect me as much. Yeah. Yeah. You know, when you're out there by yourself and you're just kind of sitting there at night, I can probably go through a half bag of cigarettes before bed. Yeah, just sitting there like, wow, man, what am I doing? Just smoking. But I'm gonna quit once I get to cabin.
That's cool. So I've done quite a lot of solo adventures where you're on your own for days at a time, and then you meet a few people, and then you have maybe a week on your own. And I have to be honest that my mind runs riot with me. It goes like you think about the most weird and wonderful stuff. What's your mind been playing on with you while you've been hiking? Because you've had a lot of time on your own as you go on the trail.
Well, you know, it's amazing. You're absolutely right about that. I mean, you think about things that, I mean, I didn't remember some of the stuff that I think about. And I'm like, wow, I think about a guy I punched in the eye in fourth grade. I'm like, man, I really feel bad about that. I wish I could say sorry to him for that because he didn't deserve that. So, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I just the only thing that can get concerning is sometimes you start overthinking things that are in the present. Uh,
Mm.
but things that are in the past, I mean, you come to grips with everything, and it gives you a little bit of a peace. And I know when I started this, a lot of thoughts were, maybe I wasn't a good enough son or a good enough friend to folks, and you think about those type of things, and you start thinking about, man, when I see these folks again, I'm gonna make sure that they know how much they mean to me and how much they care, and so I do miss folks when I'm out there, and sometimes when I'm on top of a mountain, that's my thought. It's I wish that all the people I care about could be sitting here looking at this. I mean, I could show them a picture, but they really can't see what I'm seeing, and this feeling, it's man, I wish everybody I love could have it. I wish everybody in the world could have it. To be honest with
Yeah, because the picture misses the effort and the sweat of actually getting to the top of the mountain, and it misses the wind and the rain and all the smells and sounds. It kind of misses all those. It misses the important bits that make the picture worth what the picture's really worth. Yeah, but I agree. Everybody should go and spend a day on top of a mountain and go and see what they can see and just watch the weather and listen to the birds. It's incredible.
you. It is. I mean, there's some folks that that they're obviously not in good shape, or they're a little bit older, and they can't actually go hike at 20 miles to get to the top of a mountain. Go to one that they could drive up to, and just go sit up. Go park up the top of the mountain and walk a couple hundred yards and just sit there. It's worth it. I'll definitely believe that.
That's incredible.
Definitely.
Incredible. Now, many of our listeners are fascinated by gear. Oh my word, they love gear. What sort of gear do you? Or correction, let me get the question right. What's the gear that you bought before the AT that you just think you wasted your money on? That's the first question.
Oh wow. Um, I did pretty good when I went and got my gear. I was watching some videos. There's a girl who her videos really were pretty inspiring. Dixie. I don't know if you've seen her around, but
Have yeah.
her videos, and I watched a lot of stuff that she said you should get, and I went and got some of the stuff. I don't know that the 40-degree bag I got. It wasn't. I could have just done better without having a bag. I bought this Kelty, and when I switched out all my gear to do the winter hiking, I forgot about the sleeping bag. So I was on top of Thomas Knob and Grayson Highlands. It was about 2 degrees. It snowed a foot. There was actually snow coming through the walls of the shelter, and I'm trying to ball up in this 40-degree bag. I'm freezing to death. So when I get to Damascus, I'm going to buy a new sleeping bag. And I get to Damascus, I got an outfitter there, but the only sleeping bag they got that's below 30 degrees was a 20-degree kid's bag, but it was half off. And I was thinking to myself, half a sleeping bag, half off. I mean, it's got to be better than what I got. So I bought it. And I tell you, from my feet to my nipples, I was super warm, but from the top, not so good, not so good. So I ended up having to switch that out. I got a 0-degree bag now. And a lot of folks, I mean, they're really serious about it. They put a lot of money into with the gear. I didn't really do that. My pack's pretty heavy because I don't have the ultralight stuff.
Mm.
I think my sleeping bag weighs about 4 pounds.
It's fair enough. If it keeps you nice and warm and puts a smile on your face at night, then I think that sleep's very important when you've got to go and exercise every day.
That's the thing that folks say. Hey, you should take a comfort item. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm thinking, man, my whole pack is comfort items. I got cameras. I got sleeping bag that I could wrap up in that sleeping bag and just go to sleep anywhere. I mean, it's comfortable. I mean, but it's 4 pounds. Take a little, give a little.
So other than the sleeping bag, what was the piece of gear you wished you had on day one when you started it? The thing you wish you had that you didn't have?
Oh man. A GoPro. To be honest, I wish I had filmed more. what I was doing through the first 1,200 miles.
Mm.
Uh, the GoPro does some pretty good videos. When I'm up there, I don't really post a lot of them. I'm more really just getting the footage. So I'll edit that all when I finish up. But that would have been something I should have had. When I started, I actually started in a pair of street boots that I wore them every day. These definitely not made for hiking. And after about 30 miles, I went and switched those out. I bought a new pair of shoes, bought some barrels, and those. But the thing is, when I did the winter hiking, I went back to those boots, and they were better than the shoes I had. I didn't have to use my spikes at all, and traction was pretty good, especially going through the Smokies. So, I've been pretty lucky with the gear. Kind of looking around here, seeing if there's I did pretty good when I loaded up and went on my way.
I remember quite a few years ago, I got to go hiking in the Himalayas in Nepal, and everybody told me to take an umbrella. I thought, I don't take an umbrella hiking with me. And then when I got to Nepal, it was at the end of monsoon season, and it threw it down for 14 hours a day, just solid, heaviest rain I'd ever felt. And then suddenly the umbrella became a really important thing that I wish I'd bought.
Well, you know what? My biggest problem that I've had, and I've had it from the start, is staying dry. Because especially with the humidity over here on the Appalachian Trail, it's you're either soaked from sweat or you're soaked from the rain. And I hadn't used an umbrella until the other day. I've only used it once. I found a Z-Pax umbrella on the trail, and I said, well, I posted, say, hey man, if you lost your umbrella, get up with me, I'll return it. Now, please, I hope they don't send me a message for it, because I used that thing one time and I was dry. Like I want to keep that one. I'm gonna take it to Katahdin with me. So yeah, that's a good one. The umbrella is a good one for sure.
It's not logical, but it's a game changer when you get to not get bombarded by water. It's amazing.
Well, when I first found the umbrella, I was walking around with it and it was raining, and I had lost my rain jacket somewhere, and I posted about it, and I said where I was camping, and when I woke up the next morning, some guy was sliding the tent sliding a rain jacket underneath my tent. It was a good rain jacket, so it was raining last week, and I put it on, and I was. It kept the rain off me, but I was sweating through it, so I was still pretty soaked. And I walked past a guy who was carrying an umbrella, and he had a pair of rain pants on, a T-shirt, and this umbrella, and he's just whistling his way walking past me. And I'm thinking, he knows something I don't know. So when it rained the next day, I used that umbrella, and I'll be damned, I stayed pretty dry. So yeah, the umbrella is the way to go. Who knew?
I love it. And so as somebody who hasn't been a hiker his entire life and is just like, right, COVID, no job, Appalachian Trail, here I come. What experience or knowledge is there you wish you'd had before you started? Or do you think that the experience and knowledge might have stopped you starting?
Oh, yeah. If I would have known what I was getting into, I probably would have, got a paper route or something. Because I knew it was going to be tough, but I didn't know that I was going to die 3 or 4 times. And I got better. I'm not dead anymore, but there was a couple of times that, especially at the beginning, where I'm just like, wow, what am I doing this for? Why do people do this? It doesn't make sense. I think it's funny when you're walking up a mountain and are you kidding me? This thing's not going to stop. And then in your mind, you're actually cussing out the volunteers who built the trail, because you're like, "Are you guys sick? What's wrong with you people? What are you doing this to me for?" But they said as you get better, it's more fun. It's definitely more fun. But
how did you feel in that first 500 miles? Because that's got to be the world's largest culture shock from everything you've said to the trail. It's like a North Pole and South Pole experience.
I mean, gosh, even when I was about 150 miles, I met this guy who was he was doing the Eastern Continental Trail, so he was going from the Keys in Florida all the way up to Canada, and most of his through the AT. And this guy's done about 30,000 miles in his life, and he says, "Hey man, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to think, wow, this is easy." And I still ain't happened, so I'm meaning to meet this guy and ask him when that's going to happen. But it's definitely got a little bit easier. Definitely a little bit easier.
What's been the hardest day or hardest few days for you on the trail so far?
Oh, I guess when I went through the Smokies, I went into the Smokies on February 1st, and the night before there was a big storm warning. It says there'll be 8 to 12 inches coming. I'm like, well, let's go do it. So I went in and I start walking up the mountain, and what I was doing that day, I was actually skipping the first shelter. I was going to the second shelter, and it was 10 and a half miles, like 5,500 feet elevation, basically just going uphill all day. That snow was coming. And by about 3 o'clock, I'm thinking, there's already a foot of snow here. I don't know what they're talking about. And I just kept going, and that snow kept getting deeper. Wasn't moving very fast, mile an hour at best. And that's going downhill. It was just really struggling. Sun went down, just snow going. I got my headlamp on. I can't see anything. So I have to take my headlamp off and hold it down by my waist so I can, try to make my way through there. I got ice hanging off my beard, holding my head down. My legs are covered in ice. My gaiters got clumps of ice on them. So it's like I carry an extra couple pounds on each leg. And I made it to the shelter, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I did that. And then next you know, I had to do that for about 4 more days. And a couple of times I thought I probably wasn't going to make it. It was, you're 4 or 5 miles from the shelter, the sun went down. You're wet from the snow, you're wet from sweat. And then once that sun goes down, everything freezes solid. So, your fingertips are frozen, toes are frozen. You can't move fast enough to keep your body heat up enough. So you're starting to feel the effects of hypothermia coming in, and you're wondering, wait a second, man, I still got a couple miles to go. I don't know how this is gonna play out. And really, in the Smokies, you didn't have, you're basically just walking along a ridge the whole time. So it's not as if you can, just kind of go over and dig a hole and crawl in there. You just, if you move over to the left, you might just go over the mountain. So that was it was pretty harrowing. I wouldn't suggest anybody do it, but I would do it again. So go figure.
So go on well, it sounds like getting to the shelter was pretty rewarding, having achieved all that. But what's been your highlight of the AT in terms of the hiking so far?
Oh man,
if you could go back,
that's the thing.
One day again, like that one day you could go do it again, what would it be?
Actually, I would say it's Jane Ball in over in Tennessee. And the thing is, I actually did go back and hike it again. And I took when I finished up at Springer, I had gone out hiking with my girlfriend for she wanted. I said, hey, we got to go check this place out. And we went up to. I took her back over to the AT. So when I take a break from the AT, usually I just get back on the AT, and that's my break. I just do some day hiking without a pack. But yeah, that Jane Bald it's pretty spectacular up there. All the Bald Mountains down there going through Tennessee are pretty awesome.
Cool. I'll add it to my list of places to visit. And so the other fascinating thing about through hiking is different people have different obsessive food like requirements and things. So I've interviewed a couple of through hikers who cold eat beans and rice, and they just soak it in cold water all day long, and then they eat it in the evening. What's been your food thing? Are you eating good or are you eating cold, or what's the plan?
Well, them folks that do the cold soak, that's a special type of individual because I'm not really sure how they're getting that stuff down. I I got a stove. My stove's pretty heavy. I don't even tell people what the stove is because usually they're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you carry that." I'm like, "Well, I do." But I eat the same thing every day. Uh, I eat mashed potatoes. I put a packet of Velveeta cheese sauce in there. Pour some olive oil in and a packet of barbecue chicken, and I just mix it together, and that's my dinner at night. And it gives me about 1,200 calories. It gives me some carbs, and then I'll eat Cliff Bars and donuts, and trail mix and whatever else I can during the day, just so I can get to that meal where I get the mashed potatoes. And then obviously when I get to town, it's I'm eating a pizza first thing. I'm gonna eat a whole pizza. I'll drink 3 or 4 protein shakes, get a milkshake, get some ice cream. I mean, I don't understand how I can eat. I'm just disgusted with myself. Really, I'm sitting here eating. I'm like, man, you're just a pig. There's something wrong with you. But hey, I'm still losing weight, so go figure.
I was going to ask, how much weight have you lost? You must have lost like 20 pounds or something like that, or more.
Oh man, I lost more than that. I started. I was around 190. I know when I made it to Harrisburg, Virginia, I was about 150 miles from my starting point. I was down to 160. And so I was like, I lost 30 pounds. But then 4 days later, I sat there for 4 days eating. And I was back to 189. And I'm thinking, wait a second. And then I lost that weight again. And I think I went down to, at one point, I was around 145
Wow.
before I figured out that something's going to have to change. And then that was the hardest thing, really. Things you don't know. And that seemed like the simplest thing is how to hydrate and how to get your calories in. You just when I started, I didn't know that, so I was borderline overly dehydrated all the time. I was malnourished, and you just like I say, you figure it out. As you go, and that's the thing. When folks don't have any experience doing it, and it scares them. It's like, oh, you're going to figure it out one way or the other. So just sometimes it's a little bit harder.
What would you suggest to people? I mean, there's been people listening to this that are thinking about doing the AT or the Pacific Crest Trail or the Continental Divide. What advice would you give them about food and hydration before they go and press go and get started?
Well, definitely carry some electrolytes with you. I mean, you always should have some electrolytes to put in your water. But you gotta drink it. If you drink 3 or 4 liters a day while you're out there, that should probably keep you in good shape. Like I said, I mean, one of the things that folks, everybody's got advice on how to do this. Not everybody could do it, but everybody does have advice. But I try to tell folks, look, I can tell you what works for me, but I can't tell you what works for you. And that's the thing when folks get out there, they have to a lot of things they figure out for themselves. Their body's going to tell them what they need to do. But if you're going to feel it, if you're feeling dizzy, you better start eating something because you don't have any calories in you. And if you don't have calories and you don't have the hydration, you're going to feel it in your legs because you're actually in better shape than you think you are. But if you don't have the calories or the hydration, you're going to feel like you're in a lot worse shape than you are. So as you're climbing that hill, you can feel the weakness in your legs. You need to start putting water in. And it's not the water that you're drinking today that's going to make the difference. It's the water you drank yesterday. So always, understand that you're a day behind with your water and your calorie take. So keep popping them through.
It's funny, isn't it, when people live their normal life and they're in their house and whatever else, you get very used to this big wide range of different things that you can drink and different things that you can eat. And when you get on the trail, that range of opportunity decreases. And then people, I don't know, some people kind of try and be as fussy on the trail as they are in their own home and suffer because of it, I think.
I mean, that's my case. I mean, I'm really picky, and I'm a great cook at home. I mean, I make a meatloaf that'll change people's lives, but when I'm on the trail, I mean, I'm the worst cook. I'm a lazy cook. I want whatever I can get done quickest, and I won't mess up. And I mess up ramen noodles. If you overcook ramen noodles, you can't really eat them. They turn to rubber. So I don't even mess with them anymore because I just you can just pour the potatoes in and stir them up, and it's ready to go. And yeah, I wish I could cook though. I see some folks that they do. They're at home and they dehydrate their meals and they have all kinds of stuff. I've seen people, they set up their stove and they're putting 7 or 8 different things in there and it smells great. And I'm like, wow, man, it's got to be a lot of effort to do that though. I mean, I don't know if I have that much time after the day because when I'm done, it's tough. It's tough. At the end of the day, I usually just sit there and stare out and then nothing, just stare into the void.
Yeah.
So something quicker is always better for me.
Yeah, I've got a dehydrator here. And before I go, I spent ages. I dehydrate onions and peppers and all sorts of vegetables and stuff and different meats as well. And then you can just put it in a small, like a 250 milliliter size container with some water in the back half of the afternoon, and it sloshes around, and then just cook it with your rice or whatever it is you're having. It's quite cool, but it requires, yeah, I guess for the AT where you're out for a whole year, you need to have somebody back home dehydrating stuff for you and then mailing it to you or something like that, because you can't carry a dehydrator with you.
Well, I haven't done a whole lot of packages at the post office, mostly because with COVID this year, the post office hasn't really been, at its best. Like I said, when I lost or almost lost those shoes in Harper's Ferry, and I got things that I would like to get mailed to me, but I just like I said, when I'm going places, everything is so tunnel vision when you gotta go through town and whatever. So look, I don't even have time for that. All I need right now is pizza and a milkshake, and I'll just keep going. And we'll forget the package, forget it. That's how that works.
I love it. Tunnel vision.
And then a lot of places closed too. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Just give me the town and give me that pizza. I get that pizza, man. Goodbye.
What have you noticed? On the news, we hear all sorts of stuff about COVID, and but it is generally all the bad news. But what have you noticed as you've been going through different towns about what the impact on COVID has been on people?
Well, I tell you, it's kind of disheartening a little bit. One of the things that I've stayed away from is politics. I don't really get involved in politics, but you can still see it when you were going through these towns. If I was in a conservative town, they didn't care if I wore a mask. They didn't care if I walked up and kissed them. To be honest with you, but if I'm in a more liberal town that they are very serious about the mask and they yell. So it was a little bit different. I did have one. There was a couple I was hiking with for a couple of days. They would leave in the morning before I did. I leave about an hour or so later, and I would pass them some point during the day, and I'd get to the shelter, and they would show up at the shelter a little bit later, and they would cook dinner, and we'd sit and talk, and they were nice folks. And then after about the third day, the woman, she just starts talking, and I guess she thought I was living under a rock, because she says, I don't know if you know this, but there's a disease, and it's called COVID-19, and it's killing people all over the world. And she's talking slow like I'm an idiot too, so that made it even better. So I'm just looking at her, and I says, well, they said there'll probably be a second wave. And she just went nuts. She said, this is the first wave. And she just started laying into me, and her husband was trying to get her to calm down. And she wasn't. So that next morning, I was gone about 4:30 in the morning. And I never seen them again. So, but that's my best COVID story. It's just the way that woman lost it on me. I just thought that was great.
I guess being on the trail is probably the nicest thing to be during COVID, because you're not in and around loads of other people, loads of fresh air. You get to have freedom without control, I suppose. The freedom's the thing under your feet, the shoes on your feet, and the pack on your back, and away you go.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. The freedom that you have every day to just do whatever you want is pretty. It's great. I mean, it's liberating. That the COVID thing. The, I feel bad for folks. A lot of folks, I mean, it's affected them a lot differently than us hikers that aren't really getting hit with it because we're not around that many folks. Um, I wish they would keep their masks off the trail though, 'cause that's probably the worst thing. They they take their masks out on the trail and then leave them hanging on a tree. And I just can't figure that one out.
Maybe it's a protest. I don't know. So here you are in Vermont. You've got what, 6 weeks to go till the 27th of June, something like that. What what do those last 6 weeks have in store for you? 500 and something miles. What?
It's gonna be pretty tough. Really, the from what I understand, like I said, I haven't been here before, but once I get into New Hampshire and Maine, that it's more arduous. So I'm going to actually try to cut a little bit of weight because I need to do more miles. That's the one thing about doing it in a year is I've been taking my time. So when I come on top of a mountain and I say, "Wow, there's going to be a great sunset here tonight," I don't have to leave. I could just sit there and watch that sunset. Whereas now, since I have to do more miles, I actually have to race the sunset, which I did the other day. It was, oh man, it was an amazing day. I was trying to get to Mount Greylock. Mount Greylock was 20 miles from where I was standing, and it was 11 in the morning. And I was like, man, I got to make it there for the sunset because I think it'll be awesome. So I raced it all day, and I really hustled. And I got there just as the sun was getting to do his last little final hurrah. And I said, man, this is just perfect. I loved it. And then I had to go another 3 miles in the dark, and I like night hiking, so it was okay. You ever done any night hiking?
I have done a fair bit, yeah. There was some like competitions and stuff in the outdoors when I was in my 20s that involved mostly going through mountains at night. And it's really special, isn't it? It's kind of often quieter and your senses are more alive, and you've got to be more careful where you put your feet, maybe more awake and aware. But it's very special.
Yeah, I like to say that night hiking has its own sense of majesty. Because when you look at, and especially when you got a nice moon out there, and you can see the silhouettes of the trees and the mountains. And yeah, you're right. You gotta watch where you step, but it doesn't take as much out of you, do it? As far as I don't like the heat. The heat's I'd rather be in the cold than the heat. When I'm sweating and it's just tearing me up, I don't like that so much. And when it's real humid at night, you're much better off. You just kind of get those extra miles in. Don't want to be out there too long because I mean, a lot of folks will push the miles, say, "Oh, well, I need to get 30 miles, so I can do 30 miles." Say, well, okay. So you do the extra 5 miles, takes you a couple more hours, and you get your 30 miles in. But then you don't wake up until and leave camp until 1 o'clock the next day. So now you're running in a cycle where you're always behind. So I will tell folks that when you're scheduling your miles, try to keep in fact that you still got to hike tomorrow too. So make sure you keep that in mind.
It's a fine balance as well, isn't it? Some of the longer trips I've done, I feel like I did too many miles too quickly, and there's places where other people have said, "Oh, what about so and so and so and so," and I'm like, I shot past that in 2 hours, and they've spent 3 days in the same area just absorbing it and taking it in. And I think sometimes with these longer trails, you've got to work out, are you doing it for the miles and see how fast you can go? Or are you doing it to actually take in the nature and the scenery and the people and whatever else? Which is why I really like your year on the Appalachian Trail, actually, because you've actually had time to stop and think and meet people and see things. I don't know, I interviewed a guy a little while ago who did the Appalachian Trail in, I think, 53 days. And I said, what do you remember of the Appalachian Trail? He said, it went up, it went down, and I was exhausted. And that was the end of it.
Well, I actually, far be it from me to criticize anybody on how they hike the Appalachian Trail, because it's, I've seen folks, they go out and slack pack the whole trail, and I have no problem with it whatsoever. I am not a purist. I think that you should go out and do your own journey. And, I think if you could do it in 53 days, that's amazing. I think the fastest no time somewhere in the 40s that somebody did last year. I personally, I said, well, I'm going to get the longest known time. I hit it in 365 days. Nobody could ever beat that record. I mean, they can tie it. They can do the longest known thru-hike with me, but I'm going to have that on there too. So I think that I think it's pretty amazing that you can do that quickly.
It's incredible. It's thinking about the longest. I interviewed a lady a few weeks ago called Cindy Ross, and her husband did the Continental Divide Trail. And I've got to get this right, but they had llamas carrying all their gear because they had two very small children. I think one child was 4 and the other one was 7 or something like that. So small kids. And they did it over 8 summers. So eight 5-month blocks over 8 years. I mean, that's just, with little kids, is incredible.
I would love to have a llama. That sounds awesome. That sounds great. I don't know about the kids though. I don't know if I could take the kids out on the trail. That would be tough. That'd be tough. I've seen some folks. I've seen some folks out there now. I think there was one family. I think they had 7 kids, and the son was a vlogger, and they were chucking through the winter. I was proud of them. I said, "Wow, man, them kids are going to be hardy when they grow up." Because walking through the Smokies, I think there was a 5-year-old or something. The snow was taller than he was. So they had to move on from the Smokies. But other than that, that's pretty impressive as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, that's the way to bring kids up, in my opinion. Cool. So as we come towards the end of our time together, and I have kind of asked this, but I want to know what 500 miles, the 28th of June, you've had 2 of the world's largest pizzas and best milkshakes known to mankind. What does July and beyond bring for Trail Marshal?
Oh, I'm definitely gonna take a couple weeks off, and regroup and try to put some weight back on. I'm gonna sit there and do you say, yeah, milkshakes and pizza. I'm gonna eat a ton. Like I said, I'm gonna go back onto the AT and do some sections that I really liked, that I'd like to explore more, because I will do some off trail hiking. I'll go get to a place and say, hey, now I want to go check out and see what that is down there, and I'll spend time doing that. So there's some places I'd like to go do that, maybe do some caving. I know there's a Penhody trail I want to do. I know I want to do the John Muir Trail. And I might do some sections of the PCT, CDT. Like I said, I'm hiking for life now. It's once you start it, you're not going to be able to just put it down.
It's funny you swap one addiction for another one, hey?
That's how that works. I mean, it's just but this one's better for me. And,
that's very true.
So that'll work.
Awesome. And listen, there's people who are listening to this who are thinking, one day I'd like to hike with Trail Marshal. I'd like to meet him. I'd like to touch base, do something with him. How can people reach out and find out where you are, get in touch, support you, come have their photo taken with you? I don't know.
Well, there's the Facebook page, which is Trail Marshal Hiking. I answer everybody's message. Anybody sends me a message, I answer it. Folks, if they need some help with some questions or anything, hit me up. I'm always open for folks. I got a YouTube channel, Trail Marshal Hiking. I put some of the videos up there, especially the ones when I run into a bear. That video is going somewhere everywhere, because I love running into bears, and I think folks like to see it.
Have you run into a few?
Oh yeah. I've just the other day I run into a monster. I come around the corner, and it was weird because throughout the day, a woman had she had these black dogs, and she didn't have them on leashes, and they kept running up on me. And I ran past her a couple of times. So when I come around the corner, there was a couple cubs running towards me, and I thought they were this woman's dogs. So I just kept walking, and then all of a sudden I looked and I seen this beast behind them. I was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing, big boy?" So she stood up, and when she stood up, I was like, "Wow, that bear's 400 or 500 pounds. It was 6'5". I just started backing up, and I run around the corner, and there's some bushes here, and I look over, and she stood up again, and she was taller than the bushes. I said, "Oh man, I got to back up more," and I backed up, and then I got out the GoPro and started filming. So there's a pretty good video of it on YouTube. And, I made sure she knows who's boss, because I got a reputation in the bear community. So I'm not really worried in those situations. I know that they're like, "Holy shit, that's trail marshal. We gotta get out of here." They usually take off, so it's pretty cool.
Okay, I've got to find out, what's the reputation in the bear community? Why should they be scared of you? Come on.
Oh, they know I'm not to be trifled with. Like I said, generally when I come up, they like, "That smells like trail marshal," and it just take off. It's great. It's great. Makes me feel powerful.
So I'm currently sat in South Africa at the moment as I talk to you. So I haven't had much experience here with bears, but lions we've had experience of, with them coming around your campsite in the middle of the night, and they look cuddly, but you probably wouldn't want to cuddle them.
Yeah, you're going to have to work on getting a reputation within that lion community to get them things away, because they're not to be trifled with themselves. I'd be a little worried about the lions.
Yeah, they fight back. I thought you were going to tell me, I don't know if you saw on YouTube and Facebook a little while ago, there was somebody hiking. Where were they hiking? They walked up on a mountain lion in the somewhere in the US, and then they ended up running backwards for about a mile or so with it chasing them.
Oh, that was when it was walking towards it. Yeah, I did see that one. Yeah, I don't know how I'd feel about that. I think I would have had to stand my ground there if it kept coming, because I'm figuring at that point it's going to do what it's going to do. So I might as well get out the knife. And I got a good knife. I mean, my knife, this is a good knife there. So.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when I saw the bear last week though, and I pulled this knife out, I thought to myself, boy, I'm glad I got this knife so I can just cut myself, so I don't have to watch him eat me alive. Because this thing is just like a toothpick for that bear. But a mountain lion's going to have a hard time with me. That's for sure.
I was going to say that the knife and that bear would, what they say, taking a something to a gunfight. What was it? There's a
bring a knife to a gunfight.
Bring a knife to a gunfight. That's what that bear is like.
Yeah, it's just much easier just to stab yourself and get it over with. Just let it go. It's much easier.
Awesome. Well, Marshall, I want to thank you for giving us your time today, but being, all too often I speak to people who've hiked since they were 5 years old and were inspired by somebody in the Boy Scouts, and that's cool. But there's not very many people who say, "Screw it, there's COVID, there's no work, so I'm going to go and do something that everybody says I can't and go and prove them all wrong." And the world needs more people like you to go and get people off their backside and doing cool stuff, even though they don't have that in their past. So thank you so much for bringing what you do to the world and showing us that anybody can make anything possible. I think that's remarkable.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rob. I really appreciate it, man.
No worries, mate. So folks, if you want to go and hang out with Marshall, follow his adventures, get in touch with him, check out his Facebook page and YouTube. I'll put the links for that below. But apart from that, any closing thoughts for the listeners, for yourself, Marshall?
You know what? I just, I think the only thing I can really tell folks is you can do it, whatever it is. Believe in yourself. That's what you got.
Love it. Thanks, folks.